Have you ever wondered, if you buy used bikes, old bikes, whatever, the life they had before you got your hands on them? Oh, I like this one. So anyone who knows downhill smooth tarmac knows that I love a steel bike, and I love a steel bike that runs canties because they're very capable on and off road. But sometimes I'm a bit sentimental and I like to think about the life the bikes had before I get my hands on it. And in this case, I've got something really, really special. This is a Dawes Horizon / Galaxy with 531 Super Touring tubing and what appears to be a Surly fork. So interesting. Suggests that it has been used a lot. It's painted in a blue colour. None of that makes it special. What I think makes it special is I know where this bike came from. This bike came from a colleague of mine, Rich, down in Bristol. Now, Rich has had this bike, he tells me, for 30 odd years, and it's been his faithful companion. Now, just recently, he decided to upgrade to a Genesis Quad Affair, and I don't blame him because they are flipping awesome bikes. This started hanging around. And I thought, do you know what would be nice is after years of faithful commuter service, and you can see there's years of it on here because it's filthy, what about giving it a new lease of life? Giving it a life completely different from the commuter sphere and more downhill smooth tarmac. Well, it really piqued my interest. And I actually thought, yeah, let's get this into the workshop, strip it down, treat it to some fresh shiny paint and give it a new life, which is going to involve a little bit more off-road maybe, because these have got clearance for days, space for nice canties and all that good stuff. 1 inch a headset so we can go a little bit more modern. It's brilliant and it just deserves a new lease of life. So this one is for you, Rich, and I hope you enjoy what I do with it. Okay, so that escalated a little quickly. I put the filler primer on and it looked tonk. Absolute turd. Not good enough. So we went for paint stripper. That alone barely touched it. So we've paint strippered, we've flat disced it, and now this is as good as I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it into paint, get it protected. It is going to be a little bit rough on the corners and stuff like that, but I don't care. It's going to look nice, you know, from about up 3 feet away, something like that. So let's get some paint on it and see how it turns out. Oh yeah, and in case you haven't gathered, that was an awful lot of hard work. This bike better get ridden. And there we go, the Dawes Horizon is back in the stand and finally ready to be rebuilt. It has not been an easy journey. You last saw it in bare steel, and since then it's been through filler primer, it's been through an awful lot just to get it to this point here, and it is still far from perfect, but by the time we've covered it in bike bits and gear and other cool stuff, it's going to be ready to roll again. And overall, as you can see in the footage, it looks nice. It's a passable frame, and it's definitely better than the blue that was there before that was very tired. So we're going to go with this and turn it into the adventure bike that I think it now deserves to be. So we'll probably put a headset in. That'd be a good way to go, wouldn't it? One quick job before we muck about with the headset is just to quickly put some cable guides in. This way we know we're going to be able to run the gears that we want to run. We've got some adjusters. Lovely. Fork. Okay, so let's put a little bit of grease around in here and get this headset back in place. Now we are going for a 1-inch threadless headset, just for something a little different. I love a good headset press. But I also am always so acutely aware of those that have already finished with a piece of wood and a mallet. Okay, so with that pressed in, we can go right ahead and fit this lovely sealed cartridge bearing headset. Like so. Bearings are all still in good order. That just goes through to there. I think we've got a little bit of misshapen headset cup there. I'm pretty sure that will go in with a little taparoo. Marvellous. So what basically could happen there is the cup's been ever so slightly misshapen by the press, because it's an old headset. Bring it back to life. What I do like to see is we've got plenty of steerer there. So we've got a shim to space down, because I don't think we've got a 1-inch thingy. So let's get some more spacers on there. Got some 1-inch spacers in place to play out of the headset, so it's tight with no movement. And there we go. Right, with the headset in, the next objective for me, for my own sanity mainly, rather than finishing the bike, is actually just to get it into a rolling chassis so it can be moved around. Wheels, we're going for some Mavic A119s deal hubs. These were a second-hand set that I bought completely buckled up, and I've managed to, particularly the back one, true it back up to a usable state to keep with my ethos of recycling as much as possible. And we're going for just some knobbly gravel tyres, and I think I've gone for a 35 at the back and a 40 at the front, just to make as much use as we can of what we have. So that's the front going in, so the same tyre, two different sizes. Just happens to work out that way. If I could get a 45 front and back, I've got some Gravel Kings waiting that would look amazing on this. Well, I think 40 is plenty on this bike. And there we go. Right, I'm going to put bottom bracket back in. For the bottom bracket, I'm going to be reusing Rich's old, I think this is an Ultegra bottom bracket, because this is going to suit the cranks that are going back in it as well. I'm really hoping, I think I might have made a boo-boo with these threads. Basically, I was doing two bikes at the same time when I did this, so the quick project was done at the same time, and I was rushing around, Christmas rush, and I forgot to mask my threads up and things, so let's hope we get away with it. If not, I'll have to, oh no, it's fine. That's going in lovely, that. Very nice. Okay, that's good. Nice. Okay, with that bottom bracket in place, I know I'm jumping around a bit here, but I'm going to go ahead and put a handlebar in so that I can lock this frame off where it sits. And for the handlebar, we are going for my Stone Cold Classic favourite on one midge bar. It's an original, it's a great, it's a bar I love, and I happen to have one in silver. So it's going to work with the silver wheels and all the silver trim bits that this bike's having, for that classic vibe we're going for. And if I just do this here now, I can then lock my handlebars in place, and then we're going to find a seat post so we can clamp it in the frame without it wobbling about like this. Sounds like a plan, I reckon. Oh yeah, looking good. Okay, so back down to the chainset area, and we are going for 4630 up front. So my favourite subcompact combo on an old 185 triple. These triples, these old 185 triples, if you like subcompact gearing, are just the best thing going for two reasons. One is that nobody really wants them because triples are dead to a lot of people. And the other is that because they're a triple, you can make them into a double with those two different BCDs available to you. You can really mix your gears up, which is what I like. Oh yeah, that's cool. Nice. If you do buy these, a set of these, just remember these old triples require a spacer down in here and something on this side as well. Otherwise, it's just gonna give you a whole world of pain. This is one of the ways I get the gears I want, looking smart, real smart. Right, let's go for a derailleur. In fact, let's go for two derailleurs. Okay, so when it comes to the drivetrain, we're using stuff that I've got lying around, and that includes, basically we're going 2x9, we're using a bit of anything shiny and silver that we happen to have. For example, got some old Tiagra here, that's going in. I think the front is sorer than the shifters might even be very old 105, I can't remember. I've just gone with what I've got knocking about, because that's the kind of bike this is. So front derailleur. That's interesting. Let's try a different shim. No, that's no good. Oh my. So if at first you don't succeed, just try a totally different shim altogether. That's what I'm saying. Right, without further ado, let's get this drivetrain rolling at least. And then we can move on to putting some brake calipers on this. And then we can go out and ride it. Because that's the next big thing. I want to go out and ride it. Okay, so it's up to you how you measure your chain. For me, I like small to small and get it as long as I possibly can get it. That's where I like to be. Considering I just repainted this, it still feels like it's a little bit battle hardened. And to go with that look, I think I'm going to do a chainstay protector along here as well. I haven't done one for a while. I think they look cool as hell. I used to put one on every single one of my bikes, using a bit of old inner tube. It's a nice look. Fine. That will be fine. Nice. Okay, so after a couple of days break due to the freezing weather, it's now time to get the shifters in place. And we're going for some old school Shimano 9-speed 105, bomb-proof, easy to work on, and more importantly, what I had lying around. So let's get these babies in place, and then it's going to be time to get the brakes on first, purely for logistical reasons. These on-one bars can be a little bit weird to set up. Okay, so we're just going to get those level. Okay, so front brakes first. Eagle-eyed viewer will notice that I've added some mudguards. I'm going to talk about that while I just pop these brakes in place. I have decided that for this bike, I'm going to run full mudguards. I think it's that kind of bike. It's a Dawes at the end of the day. And a Dawes is always deserving of a quality mudguard, really. Oh, please don't let me have another fork debacle after last time. So we've got two different kinds of Tektro canty brake going on this bike. Up front, we've got a low, one of these ones with the lower sort of pivot situation. And at the back, we've got some that look a bit more like a Shimano M system type, but I'm putting them more, these are always, as far as I'm concerned, are more powerful, so I'm going to put these on the front. I've just realised these are on the back of the last bike. I've got the pads on backwards. Oh, you're still a sausage! Okay, so while we switch these pads over, I'm using Cool Stop compound in these because I found some on the shelf behind me. So that's pretty good news. If you've not run these slightly more modern canties before, the great news is they use V-brake pads, so it does make installation a heck of a lot easier. So what we should end up with here is a really nice, strong front brake. Let's tighten this pad up. Making good contact, plenty of space. Make sure this wheel is seated correctly before we get any further. No, it wasn't, because the pads are now not contacting properly. Oh, naughty! Top tip, people, make sure your wheel's seated before you do all this. I am a silly sausage. That's day one, week one stuff, that. Okay, out back is more of the same, except for a different brake this time. So we've got a slightly different version of the same sort of Tektro. Simplified wee beast. What do you think of the mud guards, though? I'm digging it. I think it suits it. I think they're going to feel amazing when I'm bone dry and everybody else around me is covered in mud. I think they're going to come into their own then. And again, they're recycled. They're just old ones that were destined for the bin. There we go. One. There we go. That's the back ones in place. Very strong. Lovely. Right, to the cables. Okay, so with those calipers in place, next thing I want to get done is actually get the brakes working before I do anything else, because I can then wrap the bar tape before I do the gears, because the routing for the gears is external and it's just going to get in the way of the wrap. So I'm going to route myself a brake cable first of all, and hopefully this is going to come through easily enough. These Shimano STRs, no matter how old they are, always pretty straightforward. And then just make sure that's pulling properly. That's great, which it is. Then I'm going to do an outer cable from here to the cable stop, which I've actually put on the fork for this setup. So let's get some outer for that. Just going to add a little bit of oil before I put the cable through. A little bit of capillary action. Lovely. That's going to go into there like that. Let's get that taped down. I kind of like to route all of this before and tape it up before I set the brake up, just in case it makes any minor adjustments to the setup. There we go. With that in place, now let's get our brake cable where it needs to be. Oh my God, this guide is mullered. Ah, there we go. Let's see how that feels for a brake. So we're only really pulling from one side there, but we can fix that with a bit of balancing. I think we could do with the cable being just a little bit tighter. Just going to adjust the straddle ever so slightly. Oh yeah, right, now we've just got to balance this up. That's brilliant. There's a little adjustment screw on this arm on this side, and it doesn't appear to do an awful lot. Oh, there's one on both sides, of course there is. It's all one-sided. Right, let's tweak that up a bit. Okay, so the other thing we can do is actually we can just adjust the balance on the straddle cable a little bit as well. Especially with these Tektro ones, you can get quite a nice even pull just by just loosening these two bolts here and just moving the straddle cable across one way or the other. See what we get. See, that's perfect, nice and even now. So I'm just going to tighten that in place. And we'll do the same on the back. Okay, got a good pulling brake now. Lovely. Okay, so out back is more of the same. I've already routed the cables through, ready to rock and roll. Had to change out the rear brake caliper arms because I had a piece missing off the other Tektros that were going on here. But other than that, it's all going swimmingly, really. Oh yeah, love me a canter. Let's give this all a squeeze, settle it all in. Look at that, yeah. That feels spongious mungious. That's definitely not where we want it to be just yet. How are we getting on now? Better, but not best. Suboptimal. Oh, that's not so bad now. Yeah, lovely. Right, let's gear up this mama. So with that bar tape all sorted out up front, it's now time for gears. Well, almost. I'm going to add one more thing to this bike before I do that, and that is a nice homemade chain guard. It's a bit of a thing. I have one on most of my bikes. If you've watched my ride videos, you'll see it. And I make it simply with a piece of old inner tube. So what I'm going to do to make my life easier, I'm going to drop this wheel out, quickly whip the chain off and do a quick wrap, and you can see how it turns out. Oh yeah, and the irony isn't wasted on me that I've just undoing all my hard work, but, well, I've decided I want to do this, so I'm doing it. Okay, so these are mega simple to do. The only thing you have to bear in mind, particularly with older bikes, is making sure it's tight enough that you don't interfere with the cable guide, basically here, and the cable running down here as well. Okay, so it's dead easy to do. Get yourself a piece of inner tube, something like that, snip it reasonably tidy, and you're going to start. Some people do zip ties at both ends, all that stuff. You don't need zip ties at both ends, you just need a good start. So you're going to start with the wrap on the inside, and you're just going to try and pinch it under itself like that. And there we go, we are off the ground and running. The key with this is that, oh, it's moved. The key with this is probably not to listen to me by the look of things. Because we're on fresh paint, it's taking a little bit of binding. There we go. All I tend to do is pull it tight as we can get it, and start wrapping it round. When you get to this point here, you can either try and go around it, or you can just use a pick or something like that, just to poke a little bit of a hole in the inner tube to encourage it to pop through at this point. Blade would be even better. I forgot to bring one over with me, so I'm just going to use this pick just to make a bit of a hole in it. And now when you stretch, you still want it to be tight, you see. You don't want it to slacken off around that dropout for the cable. There you go. See, it's just popped through. That's all you need. And now you can carry on. That's the hard bit done. You can now carry on wrapping this. This is going to protect, especially when you're using a frame like this, a bike like this, for more off-road focused things. It was never designed for such a wide range of gears. It was never designed quite for gravel like we're going to throw it through. So actually just protecting this from chain slap, particularly when you've done your own paint job. No matter how hard you try, a home paint job is never going to be massively robust unless you happen to have your own stove enameller or something ridiculous. So a bit of this, it's just a bit of protection to finish your bike off. And it looks, I think these always look cool. They look better than those neoprene bloody things. And they always tend, if you do them nice and snug like this, nice and tight, they always tend to finish up pretty nice. Once you get to where you want to stop, which for me is about here, you're going to have to snip this off, and I've gone and left my scissors over here. So you ideally want to finish your wrap on the inside. So I'm going to snip mine a little bit longer to about there. A couple of zip ties at the ready. Put one round so you're ready to lock it off when the time comes. Pull your last wrap tight and hold it, and try and get your zip tie as close up to the edge as you can here, like that. Once you've pinched it with one zip tie, like so, do a double. With those done, I'm just going to snip them. Again, this is a very utilitarian bike, this, so it doesn't matter. It's not concourse, it's just tidy. I think we got ourselves a nice job well done there. I think it looks nice. Make sure you haven't done it so chunky that it's fouling the tyre at the far end, and make sure it's not fouling any chain rings, anything like that. It should, in theory, help protect that lovely new paint job. Now we can go right ahead and refit our chain and get on with putting some gears on this. Nice. That was good. That's beautiful, that. Going. It's not quite going. I'm having some clamping issues. Okay, so it's a bit better now. So we had basically a worn pinch bolt there that was stopping the gears from doing their job. So let's see how we get on with the front. Not very well, it's jammed up. We're really not doing very well here. We don't like gears today, don't like gears. Well, there we go. Check out the doors. It feels like through the paint problems and various other things, including me having the flu, that this has been in the work stand for a very long time. And well, it has, so let's hope that it's worth it. The overall look is exactly what I had in mind. It's got modern steel sort of vibes going on here. And with the canties, it looks timeless. I've got a good wide spread of gears, which is what I wanted. The 9-speed is bomb-proof, and I've got my favourite on 1 midge bars. So the cockpit is how I like it, which is great. How it rides remains to be seen. I think we'll give this one an adventure all of its own rather than a build and ride video. What's good? What I've listed. What's bad? The frame just didn't turn out. I was so hoping to completely blow people away with bringing this frame back to life from the commuter journey it had been through the past 30 years with Rich. On video, right here from a distance, it looks really nice. Up close, I'm not completely blown away with it. But I think if I enjoy riding this, and this one becomes like a keeper, maybe we send it away, I'll have it blasted properly, and we'll start again with a nice smooth, even frame. But that's not to say that it looks bad. I love it and I love the colour. Might have actually had that for a bite for chops originally, but maybe she'll have something else now. So there we go. I hope you like it, because I certainly do. I think it's brilliant. Those surly forks matched up with that just look great. So until we get to test ride it, it's time to sign off and say I hope your next ride is downhill. Smooth tarmac, keep your wheels spinning, keep your rubber on the road or your knobblies out on that trail. Be safe out there, look out for one another, be a good human being first and even better, cyclist second. So stop and help people, say hello, be friendly, be nice. If you get a minute, it'd be amazing if you could like and subscribe, but, and that's a big but, don't let it get in the way of you getting out and riding your bike. Until next time, it's been Downhill Smooth Tarmac. Thank you for watching.